Boba Fett is back. The Book of Boba Fett episode 1 is out. Stranger in a Strange Land. We're talking about it. Welcome to YubNub. I'm Dylan. I've got Mike with me today.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, we're talking everything Book of Boba Fett, this episode breakdown. Hope you enjoy it. There's so much to kind of unpack, first of all. Pretty much like most of the episode is flashbacks, which I don't know. Did you think that might happen? Did that come as a surprise?
No, I really didn't think so. I really expected them to kind of pick up from where Mandalorian left off. But I was really happy that they did do the flashback stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it makes sense because, like, at the end of The Mandalorian, like, he was all of a sudden like, oh, hey, bro, I want to be a crime lord. And some of that element in this is kind of interesting. But I agree. I think it was really good that they did the... well, instead of the Bacta pod, it's like the flashback pod.
The flashback pod, absolutely.
It jumps back. I was getting peak Robot Chicken Boba Fett vibes when he was escaping.
Back from the dead, assholes.
Back from the dead.
I actually loved that escape sequence. I actually thought it was maybe kind of brutal in a way that like Mandalorian kind of never got to, or Star Wars really hasn't got to be that brutal in a way.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what though, what about the Jawas? Like the Jawas are like the selfish guys in the Good Samaritan story. They like literally come across him and they're like, we could help this guy or we could take his armor and punch him in the face.
I mean, they're ruthless, knocking him straight back out.
Yeah, I know.
Worse than the Tusken Raiders.
I feel like this episode is, in all the flashbacks, the majority of it is just people knocking Boba Fett out.
Yeah, I know. It's just pain on pain on pain.
And then when he does actually get into a fight later on, he's kind of a little bit of a bad kid. He kind of gets wrecked.
He's not great.
He's like, oh, take me straight back to the flashback pod, hey. Like, get me back in there.
It's interesting, though, because like in that first 10 minutes, I don't think a single word was spoken, which I loved. I thought that was awesome. But you are right with the pain, because it's like there's flashbacks of Kamino, flashbacks of Jawas, flashbacks of the Sarlaac pit, the Tusken. Like, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, the Kamino stuff was really interesting. I was actually super pumped because like Disney have often kind of just pretended that the prequels didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, it's like, this isn't a thing.
It's like Germany between 39 and 45. Yeah. You know, if you ask them, it didn't happen. Nothing happened.
It didn't happen. Lucasfilm are literally like, those prequel movies didn't happen. And then as soon as everyone started hating the sequels, they're like, hey, those sequel movies also didn't happen. But The Mandalorian definitely happened, all right? That's a thing. I love the flashbacks in some ways, but what makes it harder is I feel like the flashbacks make the current day way less interesting.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I'm sure there's flashbacks that they're gonna keep going over the coming episodes, I'm sure, and they're gonna keep trying to explain stuff. Because at the moment, I still have no idea why he wants to be a crime lord. Like, why does he want this terrible job? Like, seems like a waste of time.
Yeah, it's unless it's, you know, old age and all that. He's kind of like, I can't be on the tools all the time. But clearly he is on the tools all the time because he goes walking around with just some Gamorreans. And what was with him not having a blaster in that fight scene? Jetpack. Up.
There's a blaster on your hip. Like, use it. But anyway, red-coloured parkour boys coming in to mess it up.
Yeah, so I imagine, are they in some way connected to the Twi'lek who, you know, came to give the offering but then wasn't actually there to give an offering?
All I know at the moment is that they really like red and they really like parkour and they have those weird shield things. I just see those shield things instantly took me back to the Gungans in episode 1.
100%,
like,
big time.
How good would it be if Boba Fett got ambushed by like 6 Gungans? Do you think we'll ever see a Gungan again?
I don't think we will, and it's a real shame. You know, it's a shame, but it's the way it is. Tell you what though, at the moment with Boba Fett, with his kind of his inconsistency in terms of how badass he is, I don't know how he'd go against a couple of Gungans. Like, he's meant to be, again, this big... Like, was that a crate dragon that he took out?
No.
So what was it?
I don't know. It's some kind of new monster who was looking very kind of Witcher Season 2, if I'm honest.
Okay, I love that he strangles that and, you know, he's totally baller in that moment. But then... It's the same thing as with Mandalorian. Like, I feel like at times they don't quite know... you know, the capacity of what he has as a warrior at the moment.
But like you said before, I'm picking up like peak Boba Fett a little bit out of his prime kind of vibes. And I wonder if that's kind of the idea, but it does seem a little bit like, I guess there's not like a retirement home for bounty hunters. So what do? Become a crime boss or something. And as soon as he's in the battle, he's like, oh shit, my back. Oh, Fennec. yeah, go get him alive. Get me to the Bacta tank so I can have another flashback. So we continue to enjoy this episode.
Speaking of Fennec, what did you think about her?
Look, so Fennec Shand, she's good fun, but at the same time, I'm still not quite getting how she's connected. I think, assumedly, because she was left in the desert by Mando in season 1 of The Mandalorian. So, assumedly, I think it's pretty safe to say, that Boba will find her and they'll team up. It still doesn't really make sense, and I assume we'll get an answer to, like, why does he want to team up? Why does he want to be a crime lord? It kind of feels like they're going to go for a little bit of he's found a conscience at some point, which is cool. But I'm like, what kind of person with a conscience goes, oh, I guess I'll be a crime lord then. Like, that's what I'll do. I'll extort people. I just won't bully children or whatever.
Yeah, speaking of like the morality in that, I got really worried for a minute there when he took he overpowered the youngling Tusken Raider and then like went to hit down and then kind of restrained himself for a second. Yeah. And I was like, oh, come on, like don't become a good guy already.
Yeah.
And do we want to see Boba Fett as a good guy? I don't think I do.
And that's definitely part of the problem. I made a video about it on the channel, but is kind of, it felt like in The Mandalorian season 2, he was trying to be like a good guy, but also sometimes not. And I kind of don't necessarily like this thing where Disney are a bit afraid of people being just kind of having their own sense of morality and stuff. And maybe we will see that. Like, it's not fair to judge it necessarily on one episode, but I hope that they don't lose that kind of like underworldish kind of vibe, because I think that's what everyone wants. And people, I think, expected that from The Mandalorian. It ended up becoming something different and became this kind of like, you know, the Empire is still about and this kid can use the Force and stuff like that. So I hope they keep a bit of that. I hope that the next episode, I want to see more backstory, but I also don't want the whole episode to be Boba Fett in his Polynesian spa, hanging out, having a good time.
Drinking some samosas, you know, just chilling. I was just going to say, it's an interesting point, though, because, like, I really, really loved the first 10 minutes. Like, I mean, obviously, Robert Rodriguez is jumping in and directing this. I love kind of, you know, pretty much all his films. And the first 10 minutes, like, the imagery was really striking. It was really, really well shot, really well executed. I thought the score was really cool. I think they've got the Ludwig back from Mandalorian. Is that right?
Yeah. Ludwig, go ransom someone.
Go ransom someone. Yeah, no, I thought that was super cool. But again, every time it flashed to present day, it's kind of like, what are we doing here? Why do I care? What's going on? And so far, they haven't given me a reason to care in the present day. Whether they will or not, who knows? But I don't know. I'm up for the backstory stuff.
Yeah, and so that's, I guess, where it comes down to like what's going to happen, like going forward. Like, assumedly, it's going to be this whole kind of bid for power. So like Jabba's lost his place. Assumedly, he's going to want this power position, and other people are going to challenge him. But I think until we actually understand why Boba wants that position, I'm going to struggle to connect with the current day storyline, because I just don't get what it means to him. Whereas in the flashbacks, it's all about survival, and he's this great classic character, and you're like, yeah, I want him to survive, and I'm interested to see his maybe point of view change, or which I think it probably will from that experience. It'd be interesting to see how. But yeah, and
also, I mean, why rule differently than Jabba the Hutt or Bib Fortuna?
Yeah. Like, what's his... Let's think of his key differences. He's not going to have Twilight girls on chains.
Will he get as fat? That's something I want to see. He just orders KFC. He should just stay home and order KFC. He's got Gamorreans there to do everything. They're more badass than him at this point anyway.
They are. They're doing better than him. I think if you
add up... they brought them back.
If you add up the kill count, the ripped Gamorreans, you notice they are definitely not the ones we saw on screen in Return of the Jedi. They are nowhere near as fat. They're wearing far less fur. But I think the Gamorrean kill count at this point is like 4. Whereas I think like Boba's maybe got like the weird creature, half a Tusken Raider.
At this point, the Gamorreans are OP. They're OP.
Yeah, they are. When are we getting a Gamorrean spin-off? That's what I want to know.
Shit, bloody yeah. I'm up for it.
What I love is anytime he's in the helmet. What I'm not always sold about is anytime he takes that helmet off. And like, I get it, but there's always been something menacing about that look. And it feels like, for some reason, the Book of Boba Fett is like the opposite of The Mandalorian. Where The Mandalorian, they're like, I'm never going to take this helmet off. Yeah. And you've got the bloody guy from like Game of Thrones and Narcos underneath. But he's like, no, I'm not going to take it off, because if I take it off, then the stand-ins can't do as much work and I have to do that. Whereas Boba Fett, the one guy who like never takes his helmet off is just like always taking his helmet off, which
it's a great
is
point.
okay, but it's a bit weird. It's like we're kind of missing that menacing thing. It feels weird that people would, even at this point, like I get that Boba's not Jabba, but surely Boba Fett had a reputation, yeah? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like it's stupid that people would want to go up against Boba Fett, but apparently they do. Like, who's the mayor of Mos Espa? Is he just some pencil pusher behind a desk who goes, I'm sick of being pushed around by these huts and these Twi'leks. Suddenly a Mandalorian's come into town. This is the moment where we stand up to him.
No, it's like when you go to prison, right? You want to, as soon as you get into prison, you want to take out the hardest guy on the yard. And so
or high school.
The mayor's just got elected, and he's like, oh, this Boba Fett, I'm going to make an example of him. And so he's gone up to him at lunch with a tray, bang.
What are your thoughts on the Tuskens? Because we're seeing way more of the Tusken Raiders now. Like, they played a big part in one of the episodes of The Mandalorian Season 2. Yeah. It makes sense that they were going to turn up because when we first saw Boba back in Mandalorian Season 1, when he was just popped up at the end of that episode, he had a gaffy stick.
Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that this is a different clan of Tuskens that we haven't seen before.
You have to think so.
Outfit. I thought they were kind of cool. I'm not sure about the whole respect thing that they gave him at the end. I thought that Tuskens were kind of just savages and wouldn't care for that kind of thing. But that aside, I kind of loved, artistically, I loved the look of them. I loved the Predator looking, like the dreads.
Yeah, the guy, the dreads or fabric or whatever coming out of his head.
The Predator looking one. I don't know. I thought they were cool up until, and I didn't hate the bit where they were kind of obviously going to like respect him and let him go or whatever. Yeah. Or it seems like that's what it's leading towards anyway. But maybe it didn't sit quite right with my interpretation or thoughts of their culture. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like Star Wars can't always decide if they're savages or not. Are they savages or are they? What are they? My immediate thought, as soon as I saw like underage Tusken Raiders, I'm like, whoa, so lucky a Skywalker isn't around at the moment.
Slaughter those younglings.
Sort of. I'm like, it's good to see that the Tuskens have managed to rebuild their civilization after Anakin just like took them apart.
Okay, speaking of Tatooine though, why do people moisture farm on that damn planet? Like, okay, so those the mercenaries that we saw ransacking that home.
Yeah.
The only thought that I had was, who legitimately goes, honey, I think I've got an idea. We're going to set up a moisture farm. We're not going to take guns. It's going to be fantastic. Like, there's no happy endings for them.
I feel like what if moisture farming was like the Tupperware like pyramid scheme of the Star Wars universe? There's so many like 40-year-old down and outers like on Corellia or Coruscant or something. They're like, honey, I finally got the idea. We're going to this place called Tatooine. And she's like, what's it like? Oh, it's honestly, it's great. We'll get there, and all we have to do is get the water out of the ground, and it'll be easy. And then you cut to Uncle Owen, and suddenly you realize why he's such a grumpy old prick all the time.
Oh, he's farming moisture all day. Yeah, it's got to suck.
Yeah, exactly. His dad was in a wheelchair. He's had a tough go, that guy. So far, from all the little promo trailers that have been coming out, most of what we've seen so far, we have seen in this episode.
I like that. I rate that.
I like that too, because that makes me think there's a lot to see. I think it's going to be an 8-episode season, so there's a lot of room. It'd be interesting to see if we get off Tatooine. In a way, I'd almost prefer it if they didn't.
I agree. Keep it localized, like keep it small,
keep the world small, keep it interesting in that way. I really hope we see more of that female Twi'lek chick who has the nice bar. All I think of when I see that bar, who set up the cantina in A New Hope, and then who set up this one?
They hire the same musicians, though.
I know. Is that Max Rebo, the blue elephant guy from Return of the Jedi?
Max Rebo is back.
Surely he died in the explosion. Or is it just that everyone from that planet, the only thing they're good for is playing novelty circular keyboards, and that's it?
You can't kill Max Rebo. It's not going to happen. Mad Max. That's a real Mad Max. There's a planet. We're halfway there.
So I think from the promos, there's definitely more to come from the Twi'lek chick and her kind of setup. And also there's some other people kind of challenging Boba, which kind of makes sense. I think we're going to see more of that in the episodes to come. So one of them is an Ithorian guy. Whether that guy's the mayor, maybe he's the mayor.
It's Kate Winslet.
Mayor of Mos Espa, the new Kate Winslet project.
Love it. I just hope they spend the next 7 episodes of Boba just getting revenge on those the bloody Jawas, just going on a rampage. I mean, that was ruthless.
That's gonna be the next 7 episodes. So we've been asking these questions. What does Boba want? What he wants is to find those piece of shit Jawas, absolutely smack the shit out of them. I think there's a lot to look forward to coming up. I guess, I don't know, what will we see? Will we see Boba getting revenge on those little Jawas? I really hope so. Will we see him do anything outside of that Bacta tank? Hopefully. I'd like to see him actually start kicking some ass again. Or maybe he's just too wounded. Not sure, but he was fine in the Mandalorian, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's not still carrying. I mean, I'm sure the wounds are there deep, but yeah, in Mandalorian he was badass, so I don't see what's holding him back.
I don't see what's happening.
I mean, he had to clear out Bib Fortuna's kind of throne room, right?
Yeah.
He had to kind of get through all that to take control, so he must be okay.
I tell you what, that opening shot of Jabba's palace just absolutely empty. My first thought was like, gosh, these guys, they must be so lonely. Like maybe that's why Boba was like, yeah, let's keep the Gamorreans. Not because I want a bit of extra muscle. It's like, so it's just anyone else I can talk to. Like I've lived my life alone in Slave 1 all the time. I've only ever got to talk to Darth Vader and his shit for conversation. Fennec Shan's always trying to give him power advice. I just want some Gamorreans so we can hang out,
genuine mates,
have a martini in the Polynesian Bacta spa, and just have a good time.
That's it. Now, look. I'll be honest. I wasn't overly keen for this new series going into it, but the first episode has exceeded my expectations. It's made me more intrigued for the rest of the series.
Me too. I think I was skeptical. I was very skeptical to see what this show was going to be. I thought it could very much hit just the averageness of a lot of kind of Star Wars TV kind of seems to. A lot of the teasers kind of left a lot to kind of be desired. But seeing those flashbacks, I really hope they continue to kind of do some interesting stuff like that. I think there's so much room and potential, and I just hope they do continue to do something kind of new and interesting with it. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. I'm here for the Bacta Spa. I'm here for Jawa revenge. I'm here for Fennec Shan doing 90% of the legwork. I'm okay with that. She's more
I'm not, but it's
physically
going to happen.
impressive.
That's fine.
Yeah, I want to see Boba back in the helmet. Put your helmet back on, Boba.
Put the helmet on.
Just put your helmet on and just wreck.
Don't take it off.
Fools.
Even in the back to hot tub, just leave it on.
Yeah. Just
rest of the kit can come off, but leave the helmet on. Gosh.
So, Book of Boba Fett episode 1 is out. Love to hear what you think. Chuck your thoughts in the comments. Give the video a like. What did you think? Are you pumped that Boba's back? Did you like it? What do you want to see in the next episode? Do you want to see some Jawa revenge or more Polynesian spa? We'd love to hear from you in the comments. We'll be back with more Boba Fett reactions next week. Otherwise, stay tuned and sub to YubNub.